to talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
Well, it's been about a month or so since the United States first imposed sanctions on Russia. And most of us haven't noticed any sort of food shortages, though we may have noticed higher grocery prices. More recently, CNBC released a video discussing the food supply chain and why we'll be seeing more constraints on the global supply chain of food. And along with that, the head of the United Nations Food Agency stated that we could be facing the worst food shortages since World War II. How will our sanctions against Russia affect the food that we eat here? It turns out that approximately 12 of the world's calories are exported by Russia and Ukraine. And last year, Russia exported something like 37 billion pounds of agriculture, and Ukraine exported something like 27 billion pounds of agriculture. So they're feeding the world. And now, with this whole war going on, and with sanctions imposed on Russia, this is going to affect the global supply chain because, for one thing, Ukrainian farmers are experiencing crop failure. So now you have a massive shortage of farmers, and some of the farmers who are left are having difficulty planting crops because of the war. So Ukraine is unable to plant more crops for the 2022 harvest. And on top of that, Ukraine has banned the exports of a variety of agricultural products ranging from wheat to meat because they are facing their own humanitarian crisis and want to ensure they have enough food to feed their own people. As a result, a large portion of the world's agriculture will no longer be exported, and much less will be produced this year. This is where we're at a crossroads in the United States, because how are we going to combat this food shortage coming from the breadbasket of the world? And some farmers have proposed farming on some protected lands so that we have more land to grow products on. But this has caused a lot of controversy because some people don't want to farm on this protected land. So there's been a whole dilemma of how we can farm more products here in the United States. And the second issue is that the cost of farming has risen so dramatically as a result of the war that it turns out that Russia and Belarus are the world's largest exporters of fertilizer. It does not appear that the prices of things will be decreasing, so expect them to continue rising. Because of the sanctions, we are unable to obtain fertilizer. So now fertilizer costs have skyrocketed here in the United States. Just in the past few months, we've seen the prices of fertilizers skyrocket by 30%. So for one thing, the cost of farming has increased because continuing to use fertilizer will cost you a lot more, so you can expect higher grocery prices as a result. Second, if you do not use fertilizer to offset some of these costs, you may see a lower yield of your crops, which means a lower supply of food, all at a time when we are already experiencing record high inflation. It's not a bad idea to have at least a couple weeks' worth of food on hand, not just in case of a food shortage, but because you never know what might happen in the world. It's always better to be safe than sorry, whether it's next year or 10 years from now. Here are a few financial precautions you can take right now to protect yourself. The first step is to create a written budget. If you are not already doing so, you will be astounded at how much of a difference it will make in your finances if you simply track where your money is going. Second, because this is a food video, I finally had the opportunity to talk a little bit about food because most of the time we're just talking about money and finances. But please consider starting to eat a little bit healthier because your diet is what fuels you, and all that unhealthy food, that processed, cheap, nasty, junk, sugary stuff, it is not good for your body. It's not good for your mind. It's not good for your wallet, because are you going to be able to afford it? Third, it will be more important than ever for you to be smarter with your money, buying more assets and starting liabilities. And the best example I can give you is a guy named Bernard Arnault, who is arguably the richest person in the world. He is the CEO of Louis Vuitton, and he did not become the richest person in the world by simply purchasing a large number of Gucci and Louis Vuitton products. He became the world's richest person because everyone else wants to buy Louis Vuitton and appear wealthy. So if you spend money to appear wealthy before you are the reason why other people become wealthy while you remain poor. So you should be prepared for that with more money coming in and assets to protect you.